One of the things I really enjoy about gardening is getting to go and visit the gardens of other gardeners. I sometimes see new plants or new ideas, new ways of doing things. Well, today we're here at the home of the Thomases, Olen and Theresa, and we're going to visit with Olen. Hi, Olen.
Thank you, Steve. Welcome back to our garden.
All right, thanks for having us. Olen, how many years have you been an Oklahoma gardening ambassador?
Well, the program started in 1992, and we were in that initial first class.
Okay, so coming up on 10 years.
Yes, indeed.
All right, well, we always enjoy coming out to look at your garden, and do you mind just showing us around?
Sure. We're kind of standing right now in the front yard, and I've got some of these particular trees that I enjoy. This one that's right behind us, a shoe-marred oak.
Mm-hmm.
I planted as a 1 gallon, and it was 3 foot tall when I planted it. We've been here 14 years, and we've made quite a few changes. And there's a big silver maple there that I swore that I would have cut down by now, but I just can't get to it. But I'm still grooming some of these other trees to take its place.
Okay, so then once these get as big as you want them, you'll take that one out.
Right, if I can bring myself to do it. It's harder than I initially thought it would be.
All right, well, looks like you've got a live oak over there, part of the garden.
Yeah, a Quartz Mountain live oak, a very tough tree. It stands compacted soil, that's why I have it by the driveway there. Very nice. Behind us here we have a Tupelo tree, which is known for its beautiful red color in the fall, and I can testify to that. It's growing nicely.
Wonderful native tree from the eastern part of the state.
That's right.
Okay.
And there's a red maple right there that's sizing up nicely, and then over here we have a group of 3, a nice native plant, very tough, known as Eve's Necklace.
Okay, this is the Sophora, native to the southern part of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And can you tell me why it's called Eve's Necklace?
Well, as you can see, it has some very interesting seed pods. The seeds form in a little chain that makes it look like a necklace of black pearls or whatever you would want to imagine.
Okay, it's got very showy foliage, so the flowers in the spring are...
Yes, there's yellow flowers on it. Each one of those little seed pods used to be a flower, and of course those seed pods are last year's seed pods still hanging on, and the ones for this year have not yet formed, but the flowers have gone by. They're beautiful, nice chains of yellow flowers. So very lovely.
Okay, so a little bit of interest, I guess, in the winter garden with those seed pods.
Absolutely.
Well, Olen, this is an interesting tree you've got right here. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Well, this is a catalpa tree. It's kind of unusual because it's called an interspecific cross. Or I should say intergeneric cross. It's actually a cross between a catalpa and a desert willow.
Okay, Caesalpinia.
Yes, and I believe you were telling me that the cross was made in Russia?
Yes, not too long ago.
Yeah, so yeah, these haven't been in the trade too long, more than say 50 years or so.
Okay.
We like it a lot. You can see it's very open, and when it's a young tree, it does need a little bit of pruning to keep things going and make it take shape, but after that it just really looks lovely, has a nice natural shape, and it's very open and blooms. It's all summer. It takes a little rest for a couple of weeks and then it just comes right back and covers again. I even like the petals covering the ground.
Yeah, nice display here. I see yours has a tint of pink to the flowers. I guess most of these are somewhat white.
Yeah, there are some named cultivars that are bred for color, and this one is unnamed, and some are white. You can get some very dark pink ones as well. This is sort of a medium.
Okay, so it's got the inter-specific genetics of both those plants in the leaves. You can see that they're kind of in between the size of the catalpa and the very narrow desert willow.
Yes, indeed, and it also gets the pest resistance. This is a tough tree. Nothing seems to bother it.
Okay, and somewhat small tree also.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Olen, you not only have a really good collection of trees here on your property, but you've also got a lot of nice shrubs and herbaceous plants. So you like all types of plants, I guess.
Well, I have to admit that we do. We started as perennial gardeners when we moved out here. That was really our main interest at the time, and we were into color, and we've sort of branched out over the years, and we have 2.5 acres, so we kind of have to do quite a bit more gardening, and we expand a little bit, and now trees and shrubs are probably more interesting to me than some of the herbaceous things, but depends on which side of the bed you get up in the morning.
I see. All right. Well, I know this is one of your favorite shrubs here, the bird of paradise shrub. It's, of course, one of my favorite summer flowering shrubs.
Isn't that a beauty?
And these particular plants in this spot, you don't cut back, is that correct?
Yes, I don't cut these back except cut back the freeze damage, and they will size up. They'll get up to about 12 foot tall if left unpruned. So and they're very flexible. You can kind of treat them and make them fit in any scenario or garden setting that you have. I probably won't let these get 12 feet tall, but I want them to size up a little bit. That's a clump of Ravena grass there beside it, and it gets up into the 10 and 12 foot range. So I want them to have a little bit of balance with that grass when it sizes up.
Okay. I know these do get some freeze damage on really cold winters. Last year on our program, we featured a plant in the garden here in Stillwater that had been there for 40 years. So they are tough, but they will freeze to the ground on the cold, very cold winters.
That's true. But don't give up on the plant. It can come back on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right here you've got an interesting little plant. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, this is one of the native agaves, Agave virginica. I don't know the common name for that, but it's native to southeastern Oklahoma, and I have it out here. We're in a pretty tough location, and it does just great. Loves the sun. I don't water it much. This plant has been here, I think, 2 years, and as you can see, it's threatening to bloom.
And this is your first flower?
Yes, that's my first flower.
Okay. All right. Let's go take a look at some more of your garden.
Okay.
Well, Olen, in this bed, it looks like you have a lot of native herbaceous plants and a few colorful biennials.
Yes, this is a bed that started out as just native plants, and it's kind of evolved into sort of a mixture now, but we do have some nice natives in here. One of those is that Verbascum blattaria over there with the very nice yellow flowers. It's about gone by. As you can see, each one of those little seed pods used to be one of those little yellow flowers, so it's very showy when it's in full bloom. Okay. And it blooms a good 3 weeks. It's a nice one now. It is a reseeder. That plant kind of relocates and moves around the garden, but it's a nice one.
Okay, well, I think one of the neat things about biennials is you can have them every year, even though they only live 2 years. They set their seed during the summer, and that germinates either in the spring or the fall. And then the next year, the plant will flower for you. And I particularly like this bright red-orange plant. Can you tell us about that one?
Isn't this a nice one? This is standing cypress, or Ipomopsis rubra. And I started with a couple of plants here a few years ago, and then it just reseeds a little each year. And if you don't seed somewhere where you don't want it, you just pull it up, of course, and it's kind of hard to not want this plant somewhere.
Yeah.
So it just kind of increases each year, and it's another very long bloomer, and it's probably about halfway through. You can see that lots of seed pods are forming, and still have quite a few flowers, and then those seeds will ripen this late summer and fall, drop to the ground, and before freeze we'll get little rosettes of flowers ready to go again, and then the next spring we'll have additional rosettes. So you just kind of get perpetuation of these lovely things.
Okay, you see some of the seedlings back there.
Yeah.
You ever get any hummingbirds on those?
Yes, we get lots of hummingbirds. We spend a lot of time attracting hummingbirds, and this is one of the plants that does attract them.
Okay. Well, Olen, in the chair back there, I think that's an interesting way you've got this plant growing.
Yeah, it's a chair that I got out of what we lovingly refer to as the family dump down at my mom's.
Okay.
I suppose about every family that lives in the country has a ravine where they put things like discarded furniture and non-paper kinds of trash, and I thought that would make a nice garden ornament. It took me a little while to figure out where to use it, but it's encircling a plant called Liatris aspera, which is one of my really favorite natives. It blooms in late summer, August or so, very late bloomer, as most of the Liatris do. And it does flop a little bit, and that's one of the reasons I have that chair there. And it's a really nice plant. I like it a lot.
Beautiful purple,
purple
flowers. Yeah. So the chair is not only an ornament, but it's also serving a purpose.
Right, right.
Okay. Well, Olin, I really like the bed here on the south side of your home. Nice mix of perennials. I love the grasses you've got on the corner here, and this big bright clump of Tropicana cannas right in the middle there.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Now, as you know, Tropicana canna is a little bit tender, so you should dig those up every fall. And this was an experiment where I decided that here on the south side of the house I would try to see if it would winter over, and sure enough it has worked. These have been here about 3 years, and we have actually had some normal winters. In an abnormal winter it may not come back, but I have them scattered in other parts of the garden and they would refuse to come back, so I still plant them in those parts of the garden, but I dig those up every year and I leave these here, and so far it's worked out very well.
Okay, kind of protected against the south wall.
Right, right.
See, you've got a nice guara right there.
Yeah, I like that one very much.
Nice perennial. And then the Yarrow, which cultivar is this one?
This is Moonshine.
Okay.
Very silvery foliage. It's a little bit droopy now. We had nice rain last night, and so some of the things are laying over a little bit. This is one of our favorites. I like this nice pale golden color and the silvery foliage on that. It's very nice.
And does Theresa use those as cut flowers from time to time?
They're a little bit strong smelling, so we really don't bring those inside.
Okay.
If you were having a party on the deck or on the back porch patio, that would be a nice one if you didn't have to sit right beside it.
Okay. Well, I see a plant over here that we featured as one of our Oklahoma proven shrubs a few years back, just starting to bloom here.
Yeah, this is an Oakleaf Hydrangea, of course, and very lovely panicles and pretty long blooming. We like it very much, like the foliage. Now, we were fortunate enough to have a nice gardening friend, Betty Howe, who gave us this, that she had a seedling in her garden and she gave it to us. So this is an unnamed cultivar, but we like it very much. We think it's very lovely.
Those panicles are really large.
Aren't they showy?
Mm-hmm. Well, Olin, I noticed you have a lot of ornamental grasses in your garden. I would think you probably like those.
Well, you'd be right.
Okay.
I like them very much. This particular one is a switchgrass, just one of our natives, so-called Big Four. Mm-hmm. And this cultivar is called Cloud 9. And it's you can see it's very bluish
upright
color, and it's nice, upright, but not too stiff like some of the others. And when it's in panicle, it should make a nice, lovely plant. I like it very much. And I have a miscanthus back there. You can see it's quite a lot larger. Mm-hmm. That one's called Central Park. Very wide blades, very tall. It's early summer and it's 7 foot tall already, so it'll get on up to about 9 or 10 foot. It's very showy.
Okay. Well, see, you've got a lot of really nice perennials out in this area.
Yeah, as I said earlier, this was our first love when we moved out here, and we created a series of beds out here in the backyard.
Well, Olin, right here you've got a really nice, colorful variegated grass. Can you tell us which one this is?
Well, that's Calamagrostis, a cultivar called Overdan. Everyone is probably familiar with the Calamagrostis called Carl Forrester. This was a little lesser known, and as you can see, it's just like Carl Forrester. It's a cool season grass, blooms early and it's already in full bloom, and by July 4th or so it'll begin to sort of brown out and give you some lovely seed structure into the summer, when the other summer grasses are just getting up and not even blooming yet, but they're making a show with the greenery.
Yeah, it looks really nice, especially with those variegated leaves.
It shows up out here on the corner.
Well, Ola, tell us what you've done here with these limbs.
Well, this is sort of an experiment. These are branches off a red cedar, or juniper virginiana. My neighbor here to the south has a row of them for privacy on her property, and we had some wind damage a couple of years ago and blew down a big old branch out of that, and it fell on my side of the fence, so I cut it down for her. And then I got to looking at it and I thought, well, those are kind of interesting, and I thought, what could I do with that? And I kind of laid it out on the driveway and started bending it around and tying it up, and I thought, well, I think I can make a trellis out of that, and this is the result.
Okay, well, nice bit of yard work.
Yeah, and it's lasted at least 2 years, maybe 3.
Okay, and you got some perennial sweet pea, looks like, growing on there?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay. Yeah, we like it. We kind of like the look of it and the shape of it, and birds like to perch on it, so we we're a little reluctant to put a more vigorous vine on it that'll really cover it up, because
Sure.
we kind of like to look at the trellis.
Sure. Well, right back here is a plant that you don't see just all the time.
Yeah, this is Lychnis chalcedonia. Suddenly I can't think of the common name.
Little Maltese Cross.
Oh yeah, Maltese
Yeah.
Cross, yeah, and it's very showy. This is a plant that one of the first I grew when we first moved out here, and we were going through the park seed catalog and looking at the perennials, and I was too dumb enough to know that you couldn't grow everything, so I tried to look at each one, and if I couldn't find a reason not to grow it, like, you know, needed a lot of water or shade, which I didn't have, I bought the thing and tried to grow it, and this is one that I had success with.
Good way to learn a lot about what plants will do well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I like the large orange butterfly weed you've got back there.
Yeah, isn't that a beauty? Theresa grew those from seed, and that's one of our natives, and we really like those. They make great garden plants, so I recommend that one to everybody.
Good butterfly plant.
Absolutely, yeah, monarchs really go for that one. This one is the Carl Forster that I mentioned earlier. The rain last night has kind of knocked it down, and you can see it's in full bloom, but just yesterday it was all standing up at nice like this, and this is one of my favorite ornamental grasses. It's hard to choose one, but this has got to be in the top 5.
I think you've got a good way to describe it there. This was, of course, last year's perennial plant of the year.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful plant. So your beds here looks like you've added some soil and raised them a bit.
Yeah, we did raise these. Most of these rocks I collected along county roads. You know, when the grader goes by and he scrapes up a rock and pushes it over to the side, I kind of survey them and go down. And I was younger and stronger then. I can't do some of these rocks. Today I kind of wonder, how did I ever pick that up and get it into position?
How did
that's
that get here?
Sort of the way it worked. But yeah, I had some soil hauled in when these beds were created, and raised it up, because this is really wet in the wintertime. So even though it's on a little bit of a slope, but we have a sort of a clay hard pan out here, and the water just doesn't absorb that well in the wintertime especially.
Okay. Keep some oxygen in the root zone.
Right.
Well, this plant we see a lot in different gardeners' yards. I really like it. Wonderful hardy salvia.
Yeah, that's one called Pink Preference, Salvia greigii. And again, I keep saying it's one of my favorites, but I have a lot of favorites. This is
Absolutely.
just a real beauty. No pests bother this foliage. It's nice and dark green, and this beautiful dark pink flowers on here. Here we are. This is one of the common names for this is fall blooming sage, and here we are in June, and you can see that it's been blooming for some time, and it looks great. This particular cultivar for us blooms off and on all summer, and then it'll have another really big show in the fall.
They don't call it autumn sage for nothing, do they?
Apparently not.
Okay. Well, Olen, these beds certainly look full and just have a wonderful mix of plant material, different colors and textures. And can you tell us a little bit about this area?
Sure. On this side of the yard, these beds are older. These were the first ones we established, and as you can see, the beds had filled in more. The shrubbery in the background is much more doing its job of providing a nice green background to set off some of the color that we're trying to produce here in the beds.
I really like the mix of evergreens and the red foliage of the barberries and the variegated grasses and all these perennials. Well, this salvia right here is certainly showy. These large blue spikes of flowers. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, this is Salvia garantica. The cultivar is called Edith's Choice, and I've had it about 3 years. And
so it's perfectly hardy.
Yes, indeed. And it's I think in the books it's listed as Zone 7, but it has been a reliable performer for me. It's shown no sign of being damaged or not trying to come back. It looks very good. And like I say, we like it a lot. This dark color is sort of the standard of the species I discovered. And there are some named cultivars, and they try to go the other way and lighten up the color, which seems backwards to me. I like this nice dark color.
Nice tall perennial.
Yes, indeed.
Well, right down here I see a plant that we have native in our state over in the eastern part of Oklahoma, not just real common.
Yeah, this is Spigelia marylandica, another native plant, native to North America. One of the common names is Indian pink. I was just reading in American Gardener magazine this week that this plant was used by the American Indians as a medicinal plant, and it's the roots that are the medicinal part, and after Europeans discovered that, it was really widely dug up and almost harvested to extinction, but it's making a nice comeback, and it's a beautiful garden plant.
Beautiful.
Again, it's pest-free. You see that nice dark green foliage contrasting with the red. No pests bother the foliage. Even grasshoppers don't eat this plant.
And this one grows in the sun and can also handle a little bit of shade?
They recommend that you have a little bit of shade, and I had some shade when I started here under this tree, but I've kind of lost that, and this thing seems to be performing just great, even in full sun. Okay. So I recommend it highly.
Okay, so Olen, why do you have this tree that's obviously been dead for a little while here in your garden still yet?
Well, as you know, we're very interested in wildlife, and we're bird watchers and so on. So we left this tree for birds to perch in. It attracts woodpeckers because wood beetles and ants and all kinds of little insect creatures will try to reproduce, make their homes in this tree, and that is a food source, of course, for the birds. So they come to the food source, and that's why this is here. We had lost quite a bit of it during the recent ice storm, and I kind of cleaned that up, and I still have some hanging branches up there, but we like this tree just because it attracts birds.
Okay, so the dying tree or the dead tree attracts the insects attract the birds.
Exactly right, and the birds attract Olen and Theresa.
Okay.
We like life out here.
Okay, well, I noticed you have several structures set up to attract the birds to your garden, so can you tell us what all types of birds do you get coming in here?
Well, when we moved out here, we didn't have any dead trees to leave, so I actually planted some. We have some snags, so-called, planted in various parts of the garden for the same purpose. And on those, we usually feed suet, which is very attractive to woodpeckers. And we get all the woodpeckers out here, including the pileated woodpecker, which is the largest woodpecker that we know of now that the ivory-billed is probably extinct. So it's a crow-sized woodpecker, and just 2 days ago, the parents started bringing their babies to these snags to feed them suet.
That was exciting.
It's always exciting to see those young birds like that. Yeah, it's a thrill.
Okay. Well, Olen, I want to thank you and Theresa for sharing your garden with us today on our program.
Glad to have you, Steve.
Enjoyed the tour.
Oh, yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.